What's up, guys? It's your boy Josh Showtime. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. This is Showtime's Fight Forum, where we talk all things fights. That's boxing, that's MMA, kickboxing, anything that's popping as of right now. So today, I got to do my picks. You know, I'm really good right now, 4-1. So let's keep this streak going. All right, so when this is UFC 284. And actually, you know, before I dive into that, there was a couple fights that happened previously that I didn't touch on. There's a reason why. You had a Fedor Emelianenko retiring versus Ryan Bader. That fight was a dud. I mean, Fedor was not gonna be for Ryan Bader. That was an easy fight to call. We saw what happened the first time they fought, and it pretty much was the same showing. Like, it just was not, stylistically, it wasn't a good matchup. It was bound to happen. Then we had a UFC card that was honestly dreadful as far as name value go. You know, the return of Korean Superboy didn't really look good. But then you also had Derek Lewis and Spivak. Also, it was a pretty one-sided fight. Wasn't a good fight either. Derek Lewis is now on a losing streak. I love Derek Lewis the best, but this was eventually going to happen. He looked good. He looked in shape. But as far as the fight goes, I mean, he didn't look good. But it's probably getting ready to be that time where probably getting over him, and guys are coming up, and he's going to start taking these L's. So, yeah, it's not a good look, but I'm happy that he's actually had a good enough career where he's gotten multiple title shots, and he's made a lot of good money. He's a very likable dude. So, yeah, just wanted to touch on that a little bit, but let's talk about this card real quick, man. I'm not the happiest about this card. This card is okay. The two fights, the title fights are phenomenal. These are amazing fights. I'm so excited for it. Everything after that is pretty much okay, I guess. As far as name value and even importance, like, there's not that many important fights. There's like maybe two more outside of this fight. But as far as the main card goes, there's only one fight outside of the title fight that I'm actually interested in seeing, just because it's a really good guy up there. So, like I said before, you know, make sure if you do win, you know, you're gonna use my betting odds. Make sure you tip me a little bit, man. I do got a Cash App, and I have a Venmo. I'll list those below. Once again, if you do, just holler at me for a little bit. You know, tip me a little bit if you do win. Yeah. So let's just get right into these fights. So first fight on the main card is gonna be Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Manifield. Now, Jimmy Crute was actually a fighter who was coming up the ranks at light heavyweight, and people were, you know, it was a little buzz, a little hype behind him. Got derailed a little bit. You know, he lost, what, I think 3 times in the UFC since he's been a UFC fighter. But he's still a talented guy you cannot sleep on. He's a guy that can very well sleep you and won't sleep you. He also he has really good judo. Now, he's fighting a guy in the main card that's not, Alonzo isn't the greatest either, all right? This is a good fight for him to get another win on his belt. I believe he won his last fight. I think that's where it ends as far as streaks go. So if he wins this, he'll be on a 2-fight win streak. As far as how I see this fight going, I do think that Crute is going to get the W. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision on his behalf. I think he's going to be able to strike well. And then when he's in danger, he will be able to use judo to get him to the ground and control him. And like I said, I'll say unanimous decision by Jimmy Crute. So I think this will be a pretty interesting fight. I don't think it's going to be like a fun, like a war or anything like that, but I do think it'll be a pretty interesting fight. So next fight is going to be a heavyweight fight. It's going to be Parker Porter versus Justin Talea. Now, with Justin Talea, this is one of those guys that we already know. Heavyweight is normally boom or bust with these guys. Both of these guys are not that talented. Let's just keep it a stack. These guys are not going to be. I don't see these guys in title contention. There's no buzz really behind them when it comes to that. However, Tyler is definitely the type of fighter who will knock you the hell out. I believe he's 5-3, which is a terrible record, but it is what it is. 5-3, but 5 knockouts. I mean, that right there tells you he has one path of victory. That is through knockouts. All right. He's been into a decision before, but he's lost all those decisions. And then you have Parker Porter, who, once again, record's okay. It's not that great, but he's a little bit more well-versed in his W's. So I already said this before. When it comes to guys who have one avenue to a guy that has multiple avenues, I normally like to go with the guy that has multiple avenues of winning the fight, unless that one avenue is just astronomically big, okay? So I'm going to go Parker Porter, and I'm going to go with a submission dub. And And I'm going to say in the second round. And that's going to probably be a big money hit because, you know, it's big boys. There ain't too many submissions to happen unless you like Frank Mir. So once again, you do hit that link, make sure you tip me a little bit. Now, the fight before the co-main event, it's actually a fight I'm looking forward to and a fight that's going to be really, really good. So you have Randy Brown versus Jake Della Montella. That fight is going to be a really good fight. Now, when it comes to Jack has not lost since this second pro fight in MMA. He started off 0-2, which obviously is awful. You know, normally if you 0-2 in MMA or boxing, you can be all right, well, we know what this guy is. He's gonna be an easy dub. But this guy has not lost since. And I believe 17 dubs in a row? Let me fact check that because I don't want to be that guy that I have a laptop right here to tell me if I'm right or wrong. No, okay, so I was wrong. Not 17. He's won 13 fights in a row. 13 fights in a row. That's tough. Okay? And he's been in UFC for, I believe, 3 or 4 fights. Just go ahead and fact check this dude. We're already over here, so let's see how many fights he's had in the UFC. He said since the if you want to count the Dana White's Contender Series, he's had 4 fights. He's won them all. Not only has he won them all, his last 3 have been by stoppage, so he's getting better. And he's fighting Randy Brown, who is a UFC vet, a tall, lanky striker, who's really, really good. He's been, like I said, he's a UFC veteran. He's been in the game for a while, so this is definitely a step-up competition to see how good he is. If he gets another finish, we have a contender at 170, and we need to start throwing his name in there with, honestly, some of the top 15. We have to, or the top 10, actually. How do I see this fight going? I do think that there's going to be a bit of a struggle with the reach because, once again, I'm telling you, the one thing about Randy Brown is his reach is 78 inches at 170 is very long, okay? I do think that Jack likes to box, all right? He's a very good boxer. He's very technical, and he has really good power. I think it's going to take a little bit for him to get inside his range and to be able to get the dub. So I'm going to say it's going to be a second round TKO. It's going to take him around to honestly get the range, understand the distance between him and Randy. And then by the second round, he'll be able to catch him with a good straight right. And it'll be all she wrote. Boom, bing, bow. And then, you know, we're going to talk about him being amongst the top 10 at the 170. Now for the co-main fight that I'm really looking forward to, all right? I'm looking forward to the main event, but I'm telling you right now, the co-main event, I am so hyped for it. And as for the interim belt, you already know the Alex Volkanovski is going up to fight Islam in the main event. So now his belt is going to get an interim, which was the right decision for 2 guys who genuinely do deserve the title shot in Yair Rodriguez and my boy Josh Emmett. Now, we already know when it comes to Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is the hardest puncher at 145 right now. Like, I like to say, I like to use the quote that Lil Wayne says all the time, you know, call that itch the stop button. That's his punch. His punch is the stop button, all right? As soon as he hits you, you're asleep. Now, when it comes to Yair Rodriguez, he's the wildest, craziest striker I've seen, like, in the UFC. I can't even think of a guy that's as wild and as crazy, but still controlled and accurate as Yair Rodriguez. We already know when it comes to him, we're going to get the crazy kicks that comes from literally everywhere. He's going to jump into the kick. He's going to do a front flip into the kick, a back flip into the kick. It don't really matter. He will kick you from anywhere. He will elbow you from anywhere. And he's never out of a fight. If you don't know, watch the Korean Zombie fight. One of the best fights you'll see. And he had the greatest stoppage I've ever seen in my life. I've never, ever seen a stoppage like what he did to the Korean Zombie. And the fact that was intentional makes it even more miraculous because it looked like it was like something he just made up, but he does it all the time. And like I said, so it's going to be striker versus striker. Josh can wrestle, but in reality, what he does now, he's like the strike. Josh is also older, and I don't know if I can see him knocking Yair out in the later rounds. I do believe if he's going to get this win, it needs to be in the first 2 rounds. Now, Yair has a great chin. We saw that when he fought Max. He's very odd and awkward, and he's a guy you really can't train for. You can't. There's nobody who fights like him. So I'm very interested to see, will Josh actually try to wrestle at first? Maybe try to wear him down, maybe slow down the kicks and the crazy elbows that he throws? Or will he just try to stand and bang and Yair leaves himself open for a big shot? This is probably the fight that I'm having the hardest time picking because I can see both these guys winning by incredible knockout. I do think that if there was a tougher challenge, it's more so on Josh's side because Yair is just so unpredictable. But when you punch as hard as Emmett, he's never out of a fight. Never, ever. How I see this fight going, I actually will say that this fight will last longer than most people would think. Some people might think this fight might not last only a round or two. I think this round will make it into deep waters, and I see by the fourth round, Yair is going to break him down with leg kicks. He's going to break him down with high kicks. He's going to block him, but it's going to wear on Josh's arms. And then next thing you know, we're going to get a crazy, unorthodox strike from Yair in the fourth round that's going to get a stoppage. And we're going to have, obviously, an new, but then we're going to have a #1 contender for Alex Volkanovski, whether he wins or loses his belt at 155. Now, the last fight we got to talk about, which is the main event, the reason why we're all there, is to see, honestly, both things. How good are both guys? How good is Islam? How good is Alex Volkanovski? All right, we both know these guys are elite fighters. That's one thing we do know. Now we're about to figure out how elite. Alex Volkanovski is #1 pound for pound. A lot of people have Islam as #2. #1 versus #2. I mean, come on, you can't really script it up better. Islam's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be the better wrestler. Then I'm probably going to go everything else for Alex Volkanovski. If we go cardio, I'm going to go Alex. I've seen him in 5-rounders. He looked fine every single time. When it comes to game planning, I'm still going to go Alex Volkanovski because I've never seen him out game plan. Never in a fight. If it goes off of striking, Alex. I mean, it's the like I said, grappling is obviously going to be Islam. That's his realm. That's where he got the advantage. Quickness, still gonna go Alex Volkanovski. Footwork, Alex Volkanovski. But yet and still, all these edges I'm giving you, and it's still gonna be tough for me and anybody really to pick Islam. I mean, to not pick Islam. He's too big, he's too ferocious, and I mean, it's not too many holes in his game. But we say the same thing about Alex. Size does matter. Alex has fought all the way up to 170 before, but he's also where he's got knocked out at 170. We're fighting bigger guys. I'm perplexed. Like I said, I told you the co-main is the one I'm most it's very close. I'm also kind of guided a little bit towards the main event as well because Alex is just so good. He's just so good everywhere. But I will say that I'm gonna go with the favorite and say that Islam is going to win this fight. I think Islam is just too big for him. I think that the takedowns are going to be too strong. I've seen Alex. Alex has really good takedowns. However, I've also seen Alex get taken down by explosive wrestlers. Now, Islam doesn't really use explosion, but he's just such a technician, and he's so strong that I do believe that he'll still be able to get him down. And I think he'll be able to do it 4 or 5 rounds. It's going to be tough, but I still see him being able to do it. And now, listen, if Alex does win this fight, which I know is one of the stories, is he considered to go for being Islam? The answer is still no. At the end of the day, Alex is still working on his resume. We got to give him a chance to do it. Being the double champ definitely helps. But at the same time, we can't keep disrespecting these legends just because their resume isn't as good. Max is blah, blah, blah. He beat Max, he beat Chad Mendez, he beat Korean Zombie. The same people who you're viewing as high at the same time. When John Jones was fighting, we was hyping up Rashad, Rampage, Vitor, all these guys that Shogun, all these guys that John Jones was slaying. GSP, when it was Matt Hughes, when it was BJ Penn, all these guys were the elite fighters of their generation as well. So I don't want to sit here and just simply do that because we think Islam is the greatest of all time at lightweight. We don't know that yet. There's still so many questions with Islam. And at the end of the day, Volk's reign is still there. It hasn't even stopped yet. We don't know how far he could take it. I'm not even putting him at the 145-pound goat. Now, if he wins, I definitely put him over Max, even if you haven't already. I think it's really 2A, 2B when it comes to him and Max. And I don't know. I'll probably still put Alex first now. So it's above him now. So I have Jose, I have Alex Volkanovski, then I have Max Holloway. But yet and still, these guys are still young. Who knows? They might fight again. Hopefully not, because we've already seen it 3 times, but it is what it is. But yeah, we don't know. And as far as Islam, if he wins, it's business as usual. He's still got a whole reign to go to, and I still want to see him fight Charles Oliveira again. We got new dogs at 155 I want to see him against. So there's a lot that needs to happen, that's going to happen before we crown anybody. But this is a great starting point for us to have a great conversation in the future about all-time great status. But I'm just hoping for a good fight. I don't know about you guys. But as always, man, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Follow me on social media at Papa Showtime and Josh Showtime, whichever one you find first. If you want to hear me on the radio, I'm on at 98.3 The Real. You can download the iHeartRadio app and find me there as well. But it's also Super Bowl weekend, so make sure y'all watch some football, have a good old time, eat some buffalo chicken dip for me as well. This is Showtime's Fight Form. Make sure y'all stay blessed.